Welcome to the Secrets of Being podcast. I'm Dr. Dawn Airhart Witte, your guide on a transformative journey of personal development and discussions of universal truths. Join me and a panel of life coaches and spiritual leaders from around the world discussing how to handle some of life's greatest challenges. We will be sharing stories of love, faith, and inspiration with you, our faithful listeners, to live your happiest and most fulfilling life, full of purpose and passion for yourself, your families, and the world. We are here to be the change we wish to see. Let the conversation begin. Welcome to the Secrets of Being podcast. Today we are going to be talking about karma, the law of attraction, and you reap what you sow. I am going to let our panelists introduce themselves and then we will start the conversation. Maureen.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. I am Maureen Scanlon, a master life coach, relationship expert, author, speaker, and podcast host. I'm so happy to be here. Take it away, Karla.
All right. I am Karla Bonkowski, Magnan. I am a licensed clinical social worker, a certified trauma treatment professional, a choreographer, dancer, actor, everything in the fine arts, but I'm not very good at drawing. I'm very excited for our topic today because I think that the use of the word karma can sometimes be misleading in context. So I totally want to hear what you guys have to say.
Awesome. I love that because before we started recording, Maureen and I were talking about just that. And that's why it was important to me to have this conversation because we hear the word karma used all the time. But what does it really mean? And how does that show up in our lives? So as always, I like to choose a quote. And as I was looking for the quote, this is one of my favorite quotes of all time. I use it as a tagline for my business about being the change we wish to see. And this is how it ties into karma. So this quote is by Mahatma Gandhi. Gosh, it's be the change that you wish to see in the world. Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. So the word karma is a concept rooted in various Eastern religions and philosophies, most notably probably Hinduism. It is the law of cause and effect, suggesting that the intent and actions of an individual influence their future experiences. In simpler terms, it's the idea that the energy you put out into the world, whether positive or negative, will eventually come back to you. Karma emphasizes the interconnectedness of our actions and the consequences in shaping our destiny. And I found this meme and it said, repetitive complaining will attract things for you to complain about. Repetitive gratitude will attract things for you to be thankful for. So those ideas and notions being said, Maureen, I want you to start the conversation. What does karma mean to you? And how do those definitions of karma and that quote, what are your thoughts about those?
Well, I love that so much. And I came in here, like I told you, not preparing because I feel like I wanted to leave it open to listening to you guys and different ideas. Because as I was saying to Dawn before the podcast, in the arena of mental health, or even, when you're seeking enlightenment or mindfulness, all those things, we start getting these buzzwords and they lose meaning. I think they really lose what they're intended. And I love that you describe what karma means, because people say all the time, oh, well, that's bad karma, or that's your karma, or karma's going to come and get you. That it's twisting those things into a negative connotation. And to me, what I was thinking when I thought of karma was exactly that: cause and effect. It's simply cause and effect. What I do brings what happens to me, whether I'm manifesting or whether I'm negative. But on a bigger scale, I was thinking about how people say things like, I must have been a really terrible person in a past life because now karma is coming to get me in this life. Well, that I completely disagree with, because I believe each life we're asking for something different. Now, if you ask for something in a past life and you didn't achieve that lesson, then I think if you chose to come back, you're going to have to finish that lesson or get that experience. So I think that might be the twist on what people say. I must have been a real jerk in a past life, but that's not really what I see it as. And I really think if you think about karmic energy, taking what Dawn said, be the change, you get what you give. So karmic energy, if you're consistently striving to have karmic energy, then you're consistently saying, I'm going to give rewarding things. I'm going to give kindness. I'm going to give all those things of value because that's the energy I want returned to me. It's like a ball rolling uphill. That's how I see karma, is just picture that ball. You're rolling it up. I remember in arcades, remember when you used to roll the little skee ball and it would pop up and go into one of those bullseye things. But if you didn't push it hard enough, what would happen? It would come back to you, come roll back. So I think about karma as a ball rolling uphill. And that's
Love that. I love that. Karla, what are your thoughts?
I totally don't even understand that. Um, I'm not getting it. So can we go back? So karma is a ball rolling uphill. Can you help me?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as much energy as you're putting into that ball rolling uphill is how fast it's going to come back to you. So think of karma as that ball. So if you're rolling it really slow, it's going to slowly
I
come
see. I see.
back. Or so, okay, there we go.
Yeah, totally. Okay, sure. I was just thinking of a sort of Prometheus situation, where you're destined for all eternity to have suffering. And I'm like, ooh. But no, that's not what you were saying. I think that karma is confusing. It's difficult in Western cultures to really understand the concept of karma as it was intended, as it was originally developed, because we have never, well, in the United States especially, but we have not had a sens civique. That's a French term, a civic sense, where you can go to some of the greatest fountains in Paris and they have beautiful outdoor furniture that they leave there 24 hours a day. And it's because people want to contribute to the community and to the wellness of the overall organism that is Paris. Whereas in America, we were not raised with that. We were raised with the don't tread on me westward expansion. We're going to conquer, conquer, conquer. And it was very competitive rather than communal as America was being established. And you can find that in my master's thesis for my first master's degree, and I can put a link later. Karma is a very simple concept that is difficult it's like the word irony. Have you ever tried to define irony? It's kind of like karma. It's so sophisticated and so subtle. I think on this plane that spreading kindness for no reason is a really good idea all of the time. I think that that ball that you were referring to will of kindness comes back to us more quickly. I completely agree with you. As far as past life stuff, that's where it gets very dicey for people in my profession or in similar professions, because trauma treatment is enormously spiritual. However, sticking just with the literature within my professional fields, we wouldn't be able to talk about that in past life sense unless the client brought it to the table. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't break those rules, but in general, mental health won't address past lives because we still hold on to this notion of magical thinking, which is anything but cement and pavement and sidewalks and anything beautiful, it's very, very white European notion of magical thinking, but in mental health, we have to rule those things out. Now, as a minister and a spiritual teacher, Gosh, so many things are going in my mind. I think I'm going to go back to my original statement that it's always a good idea to always be kind, always be compassionate, and always be curious. And the reason for that is we feed off of each other. We are in a home community where we share resources, and some of those resources include energy and energy ties.
Well, and
And
everything is interconnected. And I remember
yeah,
listening to Wayne Dyer saying that when there are two people, one person does a kind gesture for another person. Not only is the receiver of that kind gesture affected by that kindness, the giver is affected by that kindness, but somebody witnessing the act of kindness is also affected in a positive way. So, again, sometimes we think karma is like negative thing. Karma is not negative or positive. Karma is what we do. And
it's
I think sometimes we think, well, we've got something challenging, and if I do something for you, you're going to do something for me. And if that doesn't happen, then that's not karma. But karma is I put out good energy into the world, and good energy comes back to me. It doesn't mean no negative comes into my life, but it is producing an energy of positivity to come back in my life. And
and this,
I want to
oh,
share this one story because this is really funny. Karma doesn't always happen instantaneous. A good thing, a kind gesture you make today might not be reflected in your energy for days or years, but it will come back to you eventually because we're thinking in the human notion of time. But one time, my daughters and I were walking to a Laker game, and we're crossing the street, and my younger daughter like back slapped her sister across the stomach, and then she immediately tripped and fell. And we're like, karma does not always work that fast, but I love it when it does.
I know. I bet there's a lot of people out there, your listeners, that have those moments where it's like, oh, you do something or you say something that wasn't nice, and then immediately something happens right away. Like, I love that she tripped. I've done that where I walked into a wall going into the mall with my kids. I'm like making fun of one of my daughters and literally ran into a pole. Like, okay, I get it, universe, I get it. I'm going to say this on a quantum level. Think about this. To me, karma equals law of reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
So think of that. It's and it isn't like when people think of, oh, I need something reciprocated. Oh, if I'm going to be nice, that's so I can get something in return. That's not it. It's just that law of reciprocity of cause and effect. So, and whether, like you said, you're showing kindness today, 10 years down the road, you might need that kindness. It'll show up, and hopefully, more often. Maybe, what do you guys think? Maybe the more kindness, compassion, and love the world shows to one another, think of how quickly karma and the law of reciprocity will show up for you. And we don't do it because we're expecting something in return. We're doing it because we're creating a really positive aura and circle of energy that is a law of attraction, right? That is like it self attracts the same. So that's kind of my
mhm.
law of reciprocity popped into my head.
And the key word that you just said was creating. We are creating. We are always creating. We are creating experiences in our lives. So if we are constantly complaining, judging, talking about somebody, gossiping about them, complaining about them, guess what? We're going to have more of those things coming into our life because that is the energy we're putting out into the universe. That to me is karma. If we are kind to people and we make them smile, we make them laugh, we actually ask them about their dog or their kids, we care about, we value them, we see them. Sawabona. I've told you, it's in my book. It is, I see you, I value you, you are important to me. If we treated everybody in that way, the karma we get is going to be a beautiful karma. We're going to have beautiful lives, not trouble-free or challenge-free lives, but we will have beautiful lives because we came onto this earth to have all of the human experiences, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, the painful, the heartbreaking, to experience all of them. But our overall experience is going to be one, you reap what you sow. What I put out into the world, I'm going to get back into my life.
I love that. It brings it down to a personal level of agency that I am not alone and I am not powerless. I have the ability to shift if I am curious enough to learn how. so we can take our responsibility for our own happinesses, right? And then I think it must be said, and maybe it's because I'm a social worker, I don't know, but it must be said that the more well Dawn is, the more well I am, the more well my son is, the more well it just spreads. So don't we have an obligation, a moral obligation to spread kindness? Because we all fare better. And then those of us who didn't feel seen will feel the sawabunda.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not only doing it for personal gratification or gratification in our families or whatever. We're doing the earth is our host, and
The
we're
collective.
carrying it and ourselves.
Mm-hmm. The collective, all of us.
So, and that's our karma. Let's talk about that as an example of karma, because my contention is, for me to have joy, I must know that I spread joy. I have that sens civique. I'm responsible.
Mm.
And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that. And then let's talk about this. I'm holed up, not even knowing what day of the week it is, missing our podcast. I mean, that's traumatic. It's a reminder of COVID, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a
speak of
little
karma.
bit.
Yeah.
But see, your karma didn't do anything to create the snowstorm and the cold weather and your plane not being able to get out. And that's why some people will look at, say, for example, their car broke down. Their car battery died, their car broke down, whatever. They think they're a victim and oh, these things happen to them. And why is this happening? That is not karma. That is things happen to everybody. You know, when you find this stuff to be grateful for, look, I have a car to even break down. I have funds I know a mechanic, I know somebody who can fix my car. That's the gratitude place.
Mm.
So again, the energy we put out and how we receive the challenges and things that come into our life, I think also contributes to the karma that we're generating and the karma that we receive back.
I love that. I love what both of you just said. And I was thinking, where tension goes, energy flows, right? That's the whole premise of mindfulness, right? What I focus on is what I bring or what I create. However, Dawn, I love your point of the car breaking down. I think as humans, we always search for the why instead of the how, right? So the why did this happen to me? I mean, think of all the sayings in humans and that you grew up with, or you said to your own children, oh, it comes in threes. It comes in three. Oh man, I had these two bad things happen. Now there's going to be another one. Well, where attention goes, energy flows. So karmically, energetically, I'm bringing more of that to myself. So I think that's where we get stuck, is why. And this is a big part of with my coaching with clients, is when we feel we don't have an explanation, we don't know what's going to happen, or our expectations are not met. Those three things, that's when people will go, oh, it's just karma. I have no control over this. Bad things just happen to me. So it's really that mindset of saying, what am I learning from this? This thing happened. It's not ideal, but it's going to teach me what? Or it's going to help me teach someone what? If we could look at those things rather than feeling sorry for ourselves or feel like we earned it or we deserved it, or self-deprecating, I must have been terrible last year or in my last 5 lifetimes, instead of going there, if we stayed in this place of moving forward and saying, okay, I asked for this thing. I did, whether I consciously or subconsciously know it. Either way, I needed this thing to grow. How am I going to grow from this thing, instead of blaming karma or blaming the uncontrollable? One of the things I love in my coaching is your circle of control. What can I control? My actions, my thoughts, my words, my feelings. It's all I can control. I can't control anything else. So why am I going to stress over those things that are out of my control and then try to make sense of it by what? Self-deprecating, blaming myself, blaming others, blaming the world, blaming politicians,
Blaming God.
God, all of that stuff. And I think that's where we take a turn from karma to mindfulness.
Ooh.
Thoughts?
Ooh, that is
Karla has a aha.
yeah. I'm like trying to figure out a way to work my book into the background, but since I'm so happy, I can't.
So subtle, so subtle.
That goes with my personality. One of the huge things, actually, the whole reason that I wrote this book, This Road Leads Home to Me on Becoming a Yogi, was because, sorry, getting over COVID.
Bless you.
Oh, it's been a run here at the Magnan house. Um, I had a shift. I had a shift from Western paradigm of thought to Eastern paradigm of thought through intensive study and practice of yoga in my teacher certification course that took me 18 months. And the shift is so profound. And the impact that the understanding of mindfulness from a yogic perspective, I had been a practicing Buddhist to that point, but it really at that point in time informed my practice. Like I was doing mindfulness a long time ago, thinking that I was going to be a charlatan, as a charlatan. And then everybody published on it. So mindfulness is critical, because if we are not aware of ourselves, if we are not aware of where our body sits in space, if we are not aware of repeated patterns of thinking or feeling, we will live, as the first noble truth in Buddhism says, all life is suffering. We will live a life full of human suffering because we have not developed a mindfulness practice that allows us to non-attach, not detach, to not attach in the first place, so that when times get tough, we can rise above and dig into our faith and dig into our community and dig into those things. We can rise above anything, literally, figuratively, and psychically, by being mindful, by being aware. And that means I look over at little Lulu, who we tried to put snow boots on for her walk this morning. It did not work. Oh, the poor little thing. And I'm attuned to her energy. I care, which goes back to what Dawn was saying. Just demonstrate that you care. First, we need to actually care. How do we care? We realize that our caring for others feeds us in equal measure, as we've been discussing. Mindfulness is a cure. When I'm in a frantic, frenetic place and I don't know where to go, and my pendulum is going in circles, and I just go, oh, wait, my mantra. I hereby set my intention to attract and retain that which serves me, and reject and discard that which does not. And so it is, and so it shall be. That brings me back to the mindfulness of connecting with the divine.
Mm.
All I can control is what Maureen can control. She can't control mine, yours. I can't control anybody's but mine. Mindfulness is a real panacea for so much suffering.
It is. And again, once we get mindful of we are the creators of our lives, what we put out does indeed come back to us, and again, so we want people to be kind to us. It's back to the, all of these universal truths kind of like converge on one simple notion of like love, love one another, love ourselves, have compassion for others, do unto others. So the karma that we receive, how about we show up as the person we would love to have in our life in every given moment?
Yeah.
I want to show up for Maureen and for Karla the way I would love somebody to show up for me, as a friend, as a mother to my children. I want to be the mother I wish I had. So in
Mhm.
every
Love that.
situation, I ask myself, and this is karma. I show up in the world in a way that I would like to have people show up for me.
I love that. I love that so much. I want to ask you, ladies, and if I may, share a moment in my life where it was literally like this before and after of really understanding what mindfulness meant. And I want to, for the listeners, I want to just like, because a lot of them are like, I don't understand all the divine and the karmic and all that. And you don't have to. What I learned about karma was my belief in it, my belief in what karma was and what my own karma was, right? Here's a really, really good example. I have two examples. So my history is in abusive relationships. I was very codependent. I didn't know my worth. I thought love had to be earned and I was never good enough. And I was getting out of a very, very toxic abusive relationship. And I went to a counselor. He would only see me before he would see the two of us together. And I go to this counselor, tell him my story, and I'm all done telling him my story. And he says to me, you sound like you're 80 years old and your life is over. And I had said to him, well, maybe next lifetime I'll do this differently. And it was this aha moment where I was like, I am what I believe. I believe I have no say in this relationship. I have no say in this life. So elementary, my dear Watson, I have a choice and a decision. That same time period, physically, my health suffered because, of course, guys, when you're emotionally and mentally unhealthy, it will overspill into your physical every single time. So if you're having physical issues, you got to look inside your emotional and mental health. So at that period of time in my life, I had gotten diagnosed with cervical cancer, had to have surgery. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I had back pain so bad, I was 38 years old walking with a cane. I was a mess. It was an absolute mess. I go to the arthritis doctor and he says, you'll probably be in a wheelchair in 10 years. At 38 years old, to be told you're going to be in a wheelchair. Okay. I was on methotrexate. I was on all these hardcore, terrible medications. And I left there, got rid of the toxic relationship, got rid of all the medications. I had asthma to where I had breathing treatments and inhalers and blah, blah, blah. Got off all of it and said, nope, I'm not what you say I am. I am what I say I am. And I think karma comes down to, what do I decide to believe about me, about you, and about the world, and about my future, and how much power I have. And that is my before and after of changing what I believed. I used to say I have terrible karma, that I was just dealt a really bad hand. All that conditioned, terrible stuff that made me believe I was a terrible person in a past life. No wonder all this stuff is happening. Wrong. Buzzer. I decided I was going to have good karma. Why? Because I was going to choose the path that I was going on. I was going to choose the good things that I wanted to happen. I was going to choose to still be better, not bitter, through all I had been through. And that's it. If nothing else, listeners, if you take nothing else from this, just say today, I decide what happens to me. I decide the type of karma I have. I decide the life that I create, and it'll show up. What you're asking for, that great karma manifestation, it'll show up for you. Take that first step.
I love that you just said that, Maureen, because if people take nothing away from this whole conversation we've had today, I want them to take away this. Karma is not something that happens to us. Karma is something that we create. And we create it by our actions and the things that we do, the thoughts that we think, and the energy that we put out into the world. We are not victims of karma. Karma is a benign principle. We are the ones that create how that shows up in our lives. And I think
that is very important.
Yes. So Karla, I would like you to, do you have a time where you saw karma like at play in your own life? Whether it was like instantaneous or it was, it took a little bit of time.
It's really tragic, actually. The first thing that comes to mind is I have lived a long life of wonderful things, but informed and affected by developmental trauma, which created a schema for me and my thinking that I was never going to be good enough because I was adopted, abandoned. You know, I was the next hamburger on the line. You're not chosen. You're totally not chosen. You put in for a baby, and if you get one, you get one. So the arbitrary nature of how I showed up in this world was really, really strikingly haunting for me my entire life, even as a young child. And it created in me this need to please, to be perfect, to believe others be above me always, to put my own safety behind being pleasant and having manners, which led to subsequent sexual assaults. And men were always a focus of my life. If I can have a man to take care of me, even though I wasn't raised this way, I was raised by a superwoman. But if I can have a man that loves me enough, like forever, I always wanted to be like a vampire. If I can get a vampire kind of guy that'll never leave me, then that will mean that I am good enough. And there were many takers when I posted that on Craigslist. Hi, emotionally dependent and completely insecure. Do you want to wreck me? And the last one almost did. And I developed over the course of about an 8-year, that might include up to date, but he's still very much in my life. 8 years of knowing it was the wrong person for me, trying to end it in the beginning. I had my spidey senses. I felt pretty good at that moment in time, but those inner needs of love me and don't ever let me go were profound and impaired my judgment significantly. I am not to blame for that impairment in judgment, but I do take credit for getting out of that whole nightmare. So I was with Jeffrey for however many years and tried to get out, couldn't. It was just easier not to fight anymore because he was so strong and so powerfully loving when he was. It was intoxicating. And I wound up deciding to live on December 29th of 2020 when I got sober because I couldn't endure the pain. My relationship with my son was really strained because I was trying to protect him from the domestic violence. But in so doing, I was very secretive because I was still protecting my husband, right? I mean, it's that weird dynamic. Maureen knows about it. Dawn knows about it. Far too many of us know about it. But I got out, and that for me took a leap of faith that God loved me enough to want me. And God, goddesses, the divine, and the angels all did. And so did my son. And I found so did I. Well, over the course of an 18-month divorce, which was, as you can imagine, with somebody who is as sociopathic as my husband was, it was highly contentious, very expensive, and just soul draining. And on November 4th of 2023, my husband, at the age of 45, died of multiple organ failure due to alcoholism. And he was my greatest love, I thought at the time, but I could not imagine anybody receiving what I received once I got sober and I could think. So I kicked him out, got a no contact order of protection. On November 4th of last year, I got a phone call and he had died of alcoholism. And I don't want to be a and say, yeah, that's your karma, Jeff. It's not that. He made choices to hurt me because he was hurting, of course, but it doesn't absolve him. He made choices to hurt me, to hurt my son, to threaten our lives. And he also made a choice to not seek medical attention because he didn't want me feeling sorry for him. He stopped going to the doctor because I got the explanations of benefits. And he said, you're never going to know I'm going to die before you know what's going on with me. And he did.
I know that they say hurt people, so you can understand where that came from. So he was, but he was getting back, and I'm not saying that killed, like that's what caused him to die, but the lashing out at people was bringing more hurt and pain to himself.
The more frantic he got to not
Right.
let the bubble burst, the more suffering he endured, and he did not want to live without that image.
So your karma, when you decided to take your power back, because again, we create our realities, we create our lives, you took your power back by saying, no more, I'm going to get out of this. Then your life changed and started to get better. And that's how you took your power back, through karma, getting strong, saying, no, I deserve better than this. I want more out of my life. And so you took the step of saying, I'm going to take control. And the universe started moving to change what you were feeling in your life, right?
Absolutely.
So it's empowering. I think karma is a very empowering notion. It is not that negative thing that we put on ourselves, like that it's a bad thing. It's up to us. We are in control of our karma.
I agree. I think definitely there's a difference between believing karma leaves you helpless or that karma can make you hopeful. And her decision to get sober led her to seeing truly, her eyes open, who this man was and how it wasn't serving her, and then deciding to get out of it and deciding to create a life outside of violence that she'd always experienced or always felt. I'm with you on that. Deciding I was worth something. For me, it was through the eyes of my dogs, seeing their unconditional love helped me to decide to love myself unconditionally because they loved me that way. Why couldn't I love me that way? I'm going to disagree with something. I'm going to make a little fun here. Cool. Not all hurt people hurt other people. And
okay, please let's talk about that.
Thank you. I'm so tired of hurt people. No, they don't. I've been hurting many a time, and I didn't turn around and hurt other people. Okay, I get that we do put our stuff on other people. How about hurt people project onto other people? But not all hurt people hurt others. I
not
believe
all. No. Not all. And I agree with you 100%, Maureen. I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, but it helps us to understand if somebody's really hurting, if they hate, self-loathing, they do not like who they are, they're going to want other people to they want them to suffer too.
They're going to project that pain in whatever way, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, whatever abuse it is. And this was not a dig.
It doesn't justify it.
Yeah, it's just back to those buzzwords and those sayings that we've taken throughout our lives. I mean, we are women over 50. We're in the nifty 50s club here. Let's be real. Our 20s and 30s listeners didn't get it instilled quite as much as we did. And so this is beautiful, this shift that we're raising our children, our sons and daughters differently. So we don't say, oh, if you're hurting, it's okay, go out and hurt someone else. Or, no, I get it, you're angry and that's why you just, threw a brick through the window. No, we're learning that there are constructive, mindful ways to deal with it. And the biggest thing I think that's possible is just healthy outlets, creativity, talking, get a life coach, get a therapist, get a counselor, get a friend, get a mom, whoever.
Find your tribe.
Find a good outlet, because everything that goes in at some point has to come out. And how it comes out, how long it's like a slow cooker in there, how long you're going to let that cook in there, or you just want to get it in, process it, and let's get it out. Let's find a healthy way to process what came in and deal, accept, and let it go.
Here's something I'd really like to add that is totally off topic, but goes very well with what you're saying. Because I do see, I'm a clinician and I see families, I see children, I see adults. For kids and teenagers, they absolutely need extracurricular activities. Everybody needs to try band because music is so helpful for overall brain health. Parents maybe so overwhelmed that they can't get their kids to extracurricular activities to give them input, to let them know that they have agency in their lives, that they can make a decision to choose to be happy about being second chair instead of first chair because you really wanted to play trombone. If you don't have any options available to you as a child, you're not going to see any options as an adult. So for those people who are younger, Maureen, that you were just referring to, who didn't have it quite as bad as we did, they might be having children now and not knowing how to balance their lives and the children's lives, and they might have these constructs. Be curious and compassionate in everything that you do, including child rearing, and explore as many positive outlets possible so that you don't have to be one of the hurt people that ends up hurting people, that you can be one of the majority of us that goes on to produce good and fruitful, loving fruit.
I love
I,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also think, like, again, one of the first steps in understanding that, getting this to a soul level, is understanding that you have the power. You're not a victim of the universe. You're not, God is not punishing you. Karma is not against you. You are the creator of your reality. Things are going to happen in each one of our lives that are sad. We're going to lose somebody we love. We're going to get sick. We're going to, things aren't going to go the way we expected or wanted. And sometimes those are blessings in disguise. But when we realize that we have the power to create the world that we want to create for ourselves, and that karma is a real thing, but it's not necessarily a negative thing. So take your power back, understand that it is your power to hold, and do and use it for good. Use it for your highest and greatest. Use it for your highest and greatest, and for humanity's highest and greatest.
I would agree. And I wanted to say, as the author of a new children's book on mindfulness, subtle, when it comes to the kids, I'm so happy that you said that, because now that I have 3 adult children and I just had grandbaby number 4, man, we're so hard on ourselves as parents. And this is the one thing I want to say about karma and mindfulness. And as parents and grandparents, do better than our parents did, and even better than we did. And please know that these little precious beings that you're so blessed to have in your guidance, you are only the shepherd. You are not you did not give birth to the sheep per se. But what I'm saying is, let them be them. Let's stop making them carbon copies of us. Let's stop putting society's expectations on, I have to be a perfect mother. These kids have to be perfect. They have to be in every single activity, and they have to have a wall full of trophies. You know what? Let them be them. As I'm raising a teenage grandson now, I'm so much better. I'm so much better at it. And he doesn't want to go to college. And you know what I said? Don't go. What do you want to do? He loves plants. He wants to open a nursery here in Texas. Well, darn it, I will find a way for him to open a nursery with plants. And that's what he talks to, and that's what he relates to. Plus, he's a drummer and a guitarist and a skateboarder. So outlets, absolutely. But let it be their choice.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Dad, yeah, you were a football player in college and high school. That's fantastic. But you might have a plant nursery kid. Okay. Don't make your children fulfill dreams that went unanswered for you. And don't make them carbon copies of you. You need to look at every child as their own person and separate from their siblings. They're all different kids. I don't care if they have the same parents. They are all soul and separate. Embrace what it is that they want and support it and uplift it. That's all I have to say, because too many parents try to control and make their children into these perfect little robots to fulfill their dreams and not the children's purpose in this life.
We definitely need to do a full podcast on parenting, because being a mom is like my absolute most favorite thing I've ever done in my whole life. Did I do it perfectly? Absolutely not. Did I learn my greatest lessons from raising my daughters? I sure did. And, as in every situation, I always say, like, be the mom you wish you had. If you are a child and you are so excited about something, and you came to your parent and you told them and you were so excited, and your parent was like, you can't do that. Why would you want to do? don't be that person. Be that person that just gets as excited about them. And like Karla was saying, be curious. Be curious about what their interests are and their gifts and their skills and their talents. And I know this is a little off the karma subject, but karma really does play into everything. It's like, again, showing up as the person you wish you had in every situation. So we're coming around to the end of the podcast for today. And again, this could go on. We could go on. Every single one of the things we talked about could be its own podcast, and it probably will be in the future. But I want you guys to all end, well, you guys, just the two of you ladies, to end with a final thought. And it doesn't even have to be specifically about karma, just something that you think is so important that people know. And tell people what they can find you, find your books, find whatever it is that you're up to and you're doing, what magic you're creating in the world, so they can follow you. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that these are two of the speakers that you will get to hear and meet in April in Costa Rica. We are going to be talking. It's very interactive. So everybody that comes outside of the speakers, you will have a chance to speak and be heard and add your input and your experiences to the mix of everything. So it's a place where all of us are going to grow together. So Maureen, I will start with you, and then Karla, and then we will wrap it up for today.
My final thought is, and Dawn's probably going to hear this like a million times every time we get on a podcast or a Zoom. My motto for the year 2024 is flow. I think, guys, stop putting resistance in your way. Just let things happen for you. And my favorite saying is, anything meant for you will not miss you. So believe in that and believe in yourself. And you can find me at lifecoachmaureen.com. And yeah, I have a podcast called I Never Knew What My Dog Did, on all places that you get podcasts. And if you don't mind me promoting, I do have 3 books. Just find me on Amazon. My dog is more enlightened than I am. My dog is my relationship coach. And our children's book, My Dog Bexley is Just Like Me. Thank you so much for this opportunity, ladies. You guys are amazing. I love this conversation, and I love Dawn and what she's doing here in the community. And if any of you have any questions or any comments, we love positive feedback and love, and we'll show it right back to you. We answer all of your comments. So thank you so much, guys. Namaste.
Thank you, Maureen.
Well, this has been a wonderful day. Thank you for bringing me out of, I realized, a throwback depression, COVID, from being so shut down here in Chicago with the snow and the cold. I had a gloomy outlook, and I didn't realize how gloomy it was. So thank you so much, ladies, for this wonderful conversation. I'm wondering if we can develop an understanding of karma that makes sense, because it makes sense in my head that it could be a synonym for love.
We can use it as that for sure.
Yeah, don't you think that, like, it will be my karma that I will blah. And I think this is really important. I'm going to not go off into a whole thing because we're trying to say goodbye, but I don't want people to think of karma in a fearful way, like, wrath and God and fire and brimstone and all of that, because you don't want to ever have any of your intentions clouded by fear. So we want to open, and this is a luxury for many of us, and we will address this on upcoming podcasts and in our Secrets of Being retreat, what a luxury it is to think of these things. And contemplate our role in the world, that we have enough to live to be able to think of these things. But coming at karma with an energy of openness and an energy of just wondering, like a little puppy, just sniffing shit, it will never steer us wrong. If we enter karma saying, I don't want to have bad karma, so I'm going to do the right thing. Well, are we really doing the right thing? We might be doing the right thing, but did we learn anything? And are we really evolving in the way that we need to? Karma, love, curiosity, acceptance, compassion. I would love to start a language where those are our only words. And maybe cheeseburger. You
I'm a
know,
vegetarian,
and
but
time
we
to
can
feed
make
the dogs. Thank you so much. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Karla Bonkowski Magnan. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a certified trauma treatment professional. I'm an award-winning composer. I'm an award-winning choreographer and an artsy-fartsy hippie witch. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. And you can find Lulu, who has a lot to say. Lulu is my Pomeranian, at Karla_and_Lulu on Facebook, on Instagram.
Oh, thank you. And she's super cute. Only
She is.
4 pounds.
And we have This Road Leads Home to Me very soon going, you can find it on Amazon. Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you for this book. So thank you for joining us at the Secrets of Being podcast. If you want to learn more about Karla and Maureen and all the rest of the amazing speakers that we have for our upcoming retreat and in my beautiful Circle of Soul family, visit us at thesecretsofbeing.com. And please let us know if you have a topic you would like us to address, to discuss. We are here to help you overcome life's challenges, share our aha moments with you so that you can be the change you wish to see. Thank you and see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Secrets of Being podcast. We appreciate your time and support. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with more inspiring content. For further inspiration, visit thesecretsofbeing.com and join our community. Until next time, stay inspired and keep unlocking the secrets of being.